Hey guys, I wanted to come to you today and talk to you about how your anxiety can be regarded as a gift that's being given to you by your wise and benevolent body, okay? So when we talk about inner work, right, it's important to remember that the body is the vessel for this inner work, because all of the inner work that takes place in our lives that we will choose to do to process our shadow, to allow ourselves to rise to higher states of consciousness, it's all happening inside the subconscious, right? It's all happening within the body mind, right? The body mind, the subconscious is actually the blueprint of our personality. So whenever we would deepen into the subconscious to do any kind of work like this, we want to recognize that anything that's being given to us, like an emotion, like a feeling that's flooding our system, like a discomfort that we would consider a discomfort, is really a tool that can become a gateway to going into the subconscious and recognizing that in that state we can actually do the work, the real work that we need to be doing, which is clearing our shadow, right? So we want to look at our emotions as those gateways, and anxiety is a good one to notice, because anxiety is a very heavy, a very deep emotion that is, often debilitating to people who experience it regularly. But what if we could take a step back and recognize that as the subconscious feelings that are coming through us, as the emotions that are straight from the body mind come through us, they're filtered through our conscious mind, our analytical, logical, problem-seeking conscious mind that keeps us on our toes and allows us to survive, or has allowed us to survive all the way through our evolution, right? Well, this is the tool we're using to sort of read our emotions and decide if they're good or bad. It's not a very great tool, right? It's pretty fallible. So what we're looking at here is if we can take a moment, and before the conscious mind even can decide if this is a good or a bad emotion flooding our system, what if we could just take a step back and look at it from a metaphysical perspective and say, you know what, I'd rather heal from this instead of continually allowing it to run my life. So I'm going to use this anxiety as a doorway into my conscious to actually do some work, okay? And the way it's done is that when you start to feel anxiety, what can be done instead of regarding it as such, looking at it as an opportunity instead, is to pause, kind of go within, close your eyes, take some nice deep breaths, and ask your body why it's sending you the signal of what feels like anxiety, instead of regarding it as something horrible that we need to resist, that we need to take a pill for, that we need to look out for, that's going to completely uproot our day and ruin our lives, right? No, it's a doorway into our subconscious where the real work can happen, okay? So if we were to pause, ask our body why it's sending us this signal, then perhaps we'd be led back to the first time we experienced this anxiety or decided to start to feel anxiety as a coping mechanism because of an initial trauma in our life. Now, it's not always going to be like a trauma, like you were beaten or you were assaulted in some way or something horrible happened to you. A lot of times it's just a misunderstanding that happened, something you took personally, something that created an imbalance within you that gained sediment over the years and became something really big inside of you, but also something very subtle. So it takes a feeling like anxiety as this signal to be able to follow that thread back. That's why anxiety is a gift, because it is the signal that will open the doorway to new understanding of self. And once we start to cultivate an understanding of self that is deep and profound, we really build a self-trust upon which we can build a self-love. So if you were to follow that anxiety back and start to recognize that it actually is that doorway that you were seeking, then we could take a moment and we could open that doorway, which will lead to new self-understanding, like I said. And when we enter through that doorway, we'll find a younger version of ourselves that, again, decided to take that anxiety on as a coping mechanism. Decide then to love that version of you, teenager, child, whatever it is. Give them a big hug. Tell them that I accept you and love you profoundly, and I want to welcome you back into my heart. And that coping mechanism doesn't need to be there any longer. After that part of you is healed, after that part of you recognizes that they don't have to suffer any longer, and they've been welcomed back into the divine heart of the moment, then you can allow yourself to finally heal. And if you need assistance in performing this kind of work, sometimes it's tough to do on yourself because there's multiple steps and it's intuitive work, but sometimes it is counterintuitive because we're so programmed against doing this kind of work. If you need help with this, I'm glad to help you. This is the kind of work I do with clients on a daily basis. Hundreds of clients have succeeded in clearing their anxiety through these methods. And if you love help with this, I'm happy to help you. So please reach out and we can talk more about it. You guys have a beautiful day. I'm glad you joined me. Thanks for showing up, and I'll talk to you soon.